John, thank you so much for letting us interview you today.
Thank you, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. All right, so our first question that we have for you today is if you could tell us a little bit about your work and in science and the things that you've been doing.
It's very diverse. So I've been here at the university for 27 years, going on 28 years. And so my first role here was as a research assistant in the School of Microbiology, now the defunct School of Microbiology. It's now become the School of Babs. And I'm an animal physiologist, so my role was basically to work on the animal models for gastrointestinal disease. So developing surgical techniques for mouse and rat models to further explore the bacterium Helicobacter pylori, which was the focus of our research. So that's where I started, and did quite a bit of work on that, to the point though where I became very allergic to animals. And so I shifted my focus somewhat after doing a higher degree in microbiology and immunology, and particularly obviously medical microbiology, and doing research in that field, shifted it more into an environmental area. And circumstance at the time, there was a teaching kind of academic position available, so I kind of moved more into the teaching aspect. So still doing some research, but less than obviously what I did when I first came here. And now they've just created these education-focused academic roles. So, you know, the emphasis now, or the necessity to actually put grants in and get funding to actually do research has been taken off us, so we can actually focus 100% on education. But having said that, if you're a university lecturer, you still have to have research. I mean, that's what separates us from other institutions like TAFE or school or colleges. But you know, we're a research institute, so our academics teaching should still have that research component. And so some of the research we're looking at, we had a recent publication was looking at the microbial flora of Macquarie Island down in the Antarctic region, and looking at these microbes for bioremediation.
Yeah.
So we just had a recent publication of that. So that's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's kind of what I'm doing now.
Now, okay. Have you always been involved in the scientific microbiology sort of aspect, or are you doing anything sort of...
What, from leaving school all those years ago? So when so here's my history.
Well, yes.
Here's my history. So I came to this university, should I tell you? Yes, I suppose I could. In 1978, I actually came here to actually study, and I didn't know what. So I didn't last long. I actually lasted 2 days. No, I don't want to do this. And joined the military. So I was in the military for a while.
Wow, yeah.
And I did lots of things in between. I sheared sheep and drove tractors and did all kinds of things. But basically, while I was there, I actually got a scholarship to do electrical engineering, and then left the Air Force, got a scholarship with Telecom, what is Telstra now, the old Commission of Telecom, and did electrical engineering. So it was my first degree, was as an electrical engineer, which I finally got through, but wasn't very good at. And so later on in life, I was talking to my wife, and I said, look, you know, this is going nowhere. I don't really like it. I don't want to go back and do biology. That was my first passion. So I went back and did a biology degree.
Yeah.
And so there's been quite a few career changes along the way.
And you spoke about, like, you had an affinity with animals. What other sort of things drew you to a career in biology?
I think so. Reflecting back on the engineering, so I mean, engineering it's fine, but it's very black and white, like a lot of those type of disciplines. Whereas biology, you know, there's more unknown out there. It's very grey, and so it's more hands-on. It's more well, it's alive, obviously. I think that I've just found that appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah. I do find it appealing. What would you say to science students interested in going further in their careers in science? Like, what advice would you give to them?
Look, it's interesting. So I think, so as an undergraduate, I mean, it's really hard. Once again, there's so much variety out there, and there's so many opportunities, and there's also so much competition for those opportunities as well. You know, how do you know at 19, 20 years of age where you would like to actually be in 20 years' time, or what you want to do for a career? But, you know, you've picked science now, you've picked biology because there's a general interest there. So even with your major or the direction your programs take you, my advice would be is to try to still pick courses that you just find interesting. Talk to other people, pop in, you know, just go and visit some lectures, you know, on third year subjects. Say, oh yeah, that looks really, really good. And that might shift your focus even on how you actually plan your degree and what you actually major in. And then I think a career will find you rather than you trying to find a career. So I think that's a tip. So the big tip: be very open-minded about where your career might be.
Yeah.
You know.
And you've had a very long career journey, I guess. What do you reckon have been like your worst mistakes and what have they led to?
So the worst mistakes. I suppose here's the thing. I mean, it might sound a bit corny, but it's the glass half full, half empty thing. So I'm not going to say I've made mistakes. I've made decisions that I've learnt from. So do I have any regrets? So, for example, engineering, which I didn't really like, did I waste my time for 10 years, whatever it was, close to it, doing that? Not really. Could I have done more in biology if I'd started that from the off? Maybe. But from electrical engineering, it put a different perspective on how I actually look at biology. Yeah. So, you might have seen, for example, the lectures on oxidizers, oxidative phosphorylation. I look at that as an electrical circuit. So rather than a biologist, and I keep coming back to this thing, if you can understand the physics of it from an electricity, it's just electrons. So I look at this thing as, almost like as I said, like an electric circuit or the wiring in your house, turning the electricity off. And so I just see biology in that. I think it's really easy when I look at it. So I don't have any regrets. So even though it may have been a mistake not to do biology, which was my passion, but you can't regret what you've done.
Yeah. What's been one of the more surprising parts of your career?
That I'm still employed. I think the most surprising thing is how much I've enjoyed teaching. And
what sort of led you to that path of teaching from?
Well, it was really just circumstances. I was, as I said, originally employed as a research assistant for the animal work, and I got to such a point where I couldn't even walk into the animal facility without my face kind of blowing up. So a head of school said, "Well, we can still employ you, John. We'll actually, would you like to do a bit of teaching?" I thought, "Oh, well, why not?" And then found that I actually quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
What do you think is like the best aspects of your teaching job that you enjoy the most?
Oh, even this stuff, talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Even doing things like this and starting to develop that type of intimacy with students. Look, first year's tough, because we convene a course of over 1,000 students, so you don't really get to know the first year students.
Yeah.
With the exception that they kind of get to know me a little bit, and then through the SCIF program like this in second session, so I get to kind of get to know you a bit more, and I like to kind of track you guys. I'll see your faces as you go through, and some of you will be here doing honours, some of you will be here eventually doing PhDs perhaps, and it's really nice to see that maturity, academic maturity as well, kind of going through and becoming peers.
What are some skills that you've acquired, like throughout your time, technical and non-technical, I guess?
Look, the skills, communication is a big one. You've heard me go on and on the course about literature reviews and the strength of being able to research something and to find information and be able to disseminate the information. So, and that's a skill that takes a long time to actually get right. I don't think you're just born with it. I don't think you can learn it overnight, and I don't think you're going to learn it in one course, as you guys probably found, like doing that little project of the lit review. But it's a very important skill, I think, is once again is to be able to communicate.
And maybe to finish off, what do you reckon's been the biggest achievements you've had in your career in teaching and research?
Oh, look, you can put things up. I've got some good publications out there. I've had promotion academically. But the biggest achievement is actually seeing you guys being successful. And that's not being cliche about it or farcical about it. I mean, that's a genuine feeling is seeing you guys do well.
Yeah.
Or at least happy.
We were happy. For the most part.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for this interview. It's been really great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
I want to also thank Sophie, Lauren, and Nicole as well. They're behind the camera doing their work. So yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, girls. Stressed.
I'm not stressed.
Don't stress. Wait till the exam comes up. You'll be stressed then.
All right. This is.